Oh, that's me back again. Sometimes this thing just needs me to reconnect so that I don't lose connection. I'd rather not have audio only. Chatbert. Chatbert appears to have worked himself into a panic. It will be alright. I just need to... Oh gods, what do I do? I asked the gleaner to bring me a lively goblin specimen, but perhaps I was a tad too insistent on the lively part. With such a force that it broke the wall of its enclosure and escaped. For a moment I considered chasing it after myself, then realised it would likely beat my soft academic frame into a bloody pulp. You, on the other hand, seem to possess a rather high degree of fortitude. Last I saw it was skittering off towards Mornville Forest. Please track down and subdue the frisky fugitive. Stuff it in a sturdy sack, then bring it back here to me. My humble gratitude will be yours, as well as a generous reward. Even as I study that sack as... And there's another quest over here. Nina Gal is looking at you with a motherly concern. Madame, if you could hold out your hand, I have something you really must eat. Please, I insist. It's not the juiciest, sweetest, most invigorating thing you've ever tasted. I mean, is that not the juiciest, sweetest, most invigorating thing you've ever tasted? I just finished baking a batch, and judging by your somewhat wan comprehension, I thought you could use a little treat. Oh, don't worry. I know exactly what I'm feeding you, though I've settled here on this haven of archived cultural resources. I was once a student of the nutritional sciences at the Faculty of Medicine. The knowledge from that course certainly comes in useful when it comes to keeping my weary colleagues healthy and well, although I do struggle to find the time to keep all the ingredients I need. In fact, I wonder if you'll be willing to help me in that regard. I was about to head out to gather some things east of here, but you could scour the area to the northwest for a couple of rotting logs. I'd be ever so grateful. Yes, rotten logs. They don't need to be massive, but I will need them intact. Rotten log, get in there, rotten logs. Captured that. Oh, now a bit of meat. Now if we go up here. What have we got over here? The large pots cover the Far Eastern Ocean. Gah! Gods and scholars, don't sneak up on me like that. Can I help you? Ah, my employer sent you, did he? Well, he'll be pleased to know that I was able to purchase all his requested Far Eastern items of cultural significance. That pot there was one of them, but I was leery of simply handing it over. I think there's something alive inside. You tell me where this is? Yes, yes. There, you heard that, didn't you? I knew it wasn't just my imagination. You seem a well-travelled sort. What sort of creature might be dealing with in there? No, I'm not going to tease the poor Namazu. Oh-ho! You know you're a Namazu, yes, yes? I crawled into this comfy-looking pot for a nice nap, and before I knew it, I was whisked away on an adventure. Well, now that I'm here, I might as well make the most of my fortune. See the sights, try the food, that sort of thing. Convey my pot to the nearest inn, if you please. Seeing as our guest is so eager to stay, the least I can do is sponsor his visit and help fill out the paperwork. Meanwhile, I would appreciate it if you could explain the situation to my employer. This may be the oddest thing that has ever happened to me, but please be assured that I will take good care of our unwitting traveller. When I closed my eyes, I did not expect to wake up in a different country. No, no. Please tell me you're the help I was promised. Oh, thank the stars. My supervisor came past not a moment ago and scooped up half the ore himself. I swear he's part forest troll, but even so, I don't think I can manage to rest without doing myself an injury. Listen, if I take this crate, do you think you could carry that other load? Once you've settled on a comfortable grip, I'll lead us to where we need to go. Yes, that big box there full of ore. And don't ask me about carts, I put in a request weeks ago. I love these like quests where it's like you get like 3 minutes to like do something. It's like, what, do you just suddenly like throw it away? At that point it's like, nope, I threw it back to the start point. It's like, what? I Obviously you're no stranger to hauling heavy things about. Come on, let's go moving before my arms fall off. Come on, we've only got a minute left. We need to get to the destination quick. Quick, dude! Pick up the pace! Come on! Come on! You can do it! Oh my goodness! That ought to do it. Now come back to the Archeon and I'll pay you what you're owed. Thanks, I can likely handle the rest from here. The worst of it is over. You know, you can put the box down. Did you get it? Did you bag the goblin? There you go. Oh, praise the scholar. You see, I've been assigned to evaluate the dietary claims of a work entitled Goblin Cuisine, and have been about to prepare for my first dish. How will it taste? Is it even edible? You, my friend, have made it possible for me to answer such questions. Thank you for your contribution to culinary science. I've employed a gleaner to requisition a certain specimen, but I assume he's encountered some manner of difficulty. I can only hope that the hunter did not become the hunted, or the devoured for that matter. Look at you! All finished and with a distinct lack of bleeding and stabbing. This is why I prefer to employ mercenary types to feed our most aggressive specimen. Fortunately, I can simply let the carnivores hunt down their own meals much of the time, but this is a closed habitat. If we don't intervene to fill bellies on occasion, the delicate equilibrium between predator and prey will all come crashing down. Thank you for helping to maintain that balance. The wild creatures that live in these parts were brought here from foreign lands, near and far, but we did not simply release them and hope for the best. Nay, much thought has gone into building a uniquely viable ecosystem. Did you catch up with the gleaner? What did he have to say for himself? Are you telling me that Namazu are real? By the scholar, I thought the stories of such beings were just that, stories. And now we have the chance to speak with one in the flesh. We really must house this visitor here in the Archeon and record the conversations for posterity. Oh yes, here. You've been very helpful. Now, if you don't mind, I have preparations to make. The vaults here house almost any specimen or sample that one might imagine, yet there still exists much in this world that remains unfamiliar, uncatalogued. Thus does our vital work continue unabated. I'm glad you came along when you did. I can't be hauling ore all day, and my colleague isn't exactly built for hard labour. The Aztec's Tholos, where we store our mineral deposits, you see. And it's our job to field and fill requests from fellow researchers. But we're not equipped to process orders of that quantity, especially if the Central Circuit keeps sending up requisition papers to the same frenzied place. We'll run out of stock before long, assuming our backs don't give out first. Anyway, you're not here to listen to me gripe. Take your wages and good work. And he vanishes into thin air. Any luck with the logs? Yes, these should be victuals with all of the little darlings. Thank you, both from me and on behalf of my sure-to-be appreciative fellow archivists. After all, no dish has more nutritional value than one made with beetle larvae. Somehow we mixing different samples in the same drawers again. How are we meant to conduct effective research if people refuse to exercise proper cataloguing protocol? I mean, let's just keep our voices down in the archive, shall we? Greetings, we are here to pursue the Archean's vaults. Peruse? You're clearly not gleaners then. Might I ask your affiliation? We belong to the students of Baldesion, but is that relevant? I was given to believe that the vaults, those open to the public at least, were open to the public? Ordinarily, yes, that would be the case. At present, however, access is restricted. Only persons directly involved in the reorganization efforts are permitted to enter. Not us, then. I suppose we had better move along to another facility. This building has a lift that connects to the middle tier. Yes? Might we at least make use of that? That service has also been suspended, I am afraid. For the time being, priority has been given over the conveyance of inventory. What? So this is as far as we can go? I apologize for the inconvenience. Please come again after our restructuring operation is concluded. By that time it will be too late, and we were so close to getting answers. We need to rethink our approach. Let us step outside for the moment, shall we? Students of Baldesion. The Thora must be wary of exposure indeed. It will heavily restrict the use of public installations. If they are going to close off facilities, they ought to announce it. The students must be furious. We're at an impasse. As we have no other leads, I should like to pursue this one further. But I doubt that our stone-faced custodian will be swayed by the heartfelt pleas. We must seek out another means to access the lower levels. It is likely that people in the area involved in the restructuring, one way or another. If we were to integrate ourselves, they might allow us company, them on the lift. Let us ask around, surely someone is in need of a few strong backs to lighten the load. No, I didn't get a chance to talk to Crowd. That's sort of fancy. Oh, there's multiple advancements. But no sign of my allies. What's that? Take you down the lift with me? Sorry, not a chance. I've been up and down all day, and only now have I finally found a spare moment to rest. I did see a gleaner fellow heading out the gate there, though, shouldering a large pack, engaged in some manner of task. Maybe he's heading down there with whatever it is he's doing. Am I taking the lift? Oh no, we're just students. They won't let us into the Archeon even till we found... Actually, we have no idea what it is we found. There's no record of such a creature anywhere, but it was wandering around the Tranquility, and so we thought to donate it to the vaults. Oddest little squeal, don't you think? Anyway, I suppose we'll have to take care of it until Archeon is open again. At first we thought it might have escaped from one of the research laboratories, but when we reported our find to the studio, they were just as dumbfounded as we are. If it truly is a newly discovered species, we could have our names appear in the Gazette. Please, even talking is an effort. Go and bother with that gleaner I told you about. Quiet! You'll frighten it away. Ah, it's you again. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm in the middle of another task. The cloud king I need to capture is very close. Very close. You wish to help me with this too? You spend your time in unusual ways, my friend. Still, 2 hunters are generally better than one, but very well. The canal here is a common hunting spot for birds of all kinds, but the one I'm after today is the hornbill. Its feathers are green, and its cry a distinctive caw. Single it out and shoot it with this sleeping dart. The effects are short-lived, so I'll lie in wait down by the river bank to claim our quarry. Be sure to hit the right one. Search for the hornbill. That was tricky. I had to remember which one it was. I remembered it was the green one.
A fair shot.
He's kind of cute.
Nicely done. Let me truss this one up and I'll make my way over to you.
There you are. Any new revelations? So you met with that gleaner again, this time to capture a hornbill. I understand catching and bringing in creatures from the outside, but what's the point of chasing after ones already here?
Oh, it's a simple thing, really. Occasionally, we remove specimens no longer needed for study, or those we've had difficulty raising. But we can't simply turn them loose. Safely returning such creatures to their native habitats is another facet of a gleaner's duties. But not in this case, I'm afraid. I've been asked to bring the bird below.
The restricted section in the lower levels of Labyrinthos. Open only to a select few researchers hand-picked by the Forum. The projects down there are the subject of rumor and hearsay. Forbidden magics. Advanced technologies that can never be allowed to fall into outside hands. Even Archons are not privy to the truth. Those who are, the researchers involved in this secretive work, are not permitted to walk freely in the city, and are instead required to live in isolated quarters.
What could a facility subject to such strict security protocols possibly need with a hornbill? An experiment?
Possibly. I wasn't afforded an explanation. But judging by the requisition list given to me and my colleagues, I doubt it's for any kind of advanced research. I'd be more inclined to believe we were making preparations to migrate to the south. Mericidia or thereabouts.
What? Why would you say that?
Much of the flora and fauna we were asked to procure could serve as reliable sources of sustenance. They're comparatively hardy species, too, able to endure harsh climates. And among them are specimens known to be effective in improving soil quality and purifying water.
When you put it that way, migration does sound like a reasonable assumption.
So, is the idea to just go into hiding during this entire apocalypse?
That's all it is, though. An assumption. Through our tasks, we gleaners glimpse only bits and pieces of the Forum's plans. Our prime concern is that our requisitions, be they living or otherwise, are properly preserved for the knowledge of future generations. Now, I really must be going. I regret that I cannot reward you as you deserve.
Perhaps you might reward us after a fashion then. It is imperative that we reach the lower levels. And seeing as you are already set to descend with your assigned cargo, mayhap we could accompany you as your assistants.
I'm afraid that won't be possible. Once the animals have been prepared for transport, we send them down separately via the lift. I will of course follow after to make my report, but I can hardly pass you off as porters when there's nothing left to carry.
Indeed. Pray forget I said anything.
How do you feel about climbing? If you've strength and the courage to brave it, then there is another way down. This path leads to the 33rd facet, a mine shaft excavated during one of our expansions of Labyrinthos. While I cannot guarantee that the passage is safe to traverse, it should provide access to the medial circuit below.
I never even knew such a place existed. Thank you. This is the perfect solution.
You're quite welcome. But consider yourselves warned. If the going proves too treacherous, you do well to turn back. I bid you good day.
Pata pata.
Well, turning back is hardly an option, not when we've come this far. Let's go and take a look at this mine shaft.
I never would have noticed this cave on my own. Thank the skull that Irvinel knew of it, and you were there to persuade him to share. I took a quick peek inside, but it's awfully dark in there. The medial circuit, which Irvinel mentioned, is a tier directly below us. Unlike the lowest level of Labyrinthos, with its rigid security, one can usually roam the middle there quite freely. Let us see what we might find. This must be it! The entrance to the mine shaft. It is faint, but I think I hear something moving within. Creatures home there by the researchers, you think? Well, slaving beasts aside, we need to watch our footing. We should tighten our straps and such before we continue. Man-made though it may be, this shaft was designed to resemble a natural cave system. Heed Irvinel's warning and do step carefully. The medial circuit, which Irvinel mentioned, is this tier directly below us. Unlike the lowest level of labyrinths with its rich security, one can usually roam the middle layer quite freely. Let's see what this rat finds. Ah yes, do you already? Isaiah really seems eager to get underway. Assuming everyone's tightened their straps and checked their gear, then I say we head on in. Given the terrain ahead though, it might be wise to leave some distance between us. I don't want to be stumbling over each other if it comes to a fight. Take it slow, and don't forget to check your surroundings from time to time. We can meet up again at the other end of the tunnel. So we go over here to our destination. Probably a monster here. Oh look, monsters. Let's see what's gonna piss the wrath at my level. Come. Hey guys! That mineshaft was infested with mythical caps. Some sort of research project, I wonder? I suppose they are a most unusual creature. Why do they develop such long limbs, when all they do is shuffle around narrow tunnels? Elita! Did you know Cryo almost took a tumble back there? She can't possibly still be dizzy from the lift. I was being careful, I swear. The slope was steeper than I thought, and I lost my footing for a moment. That's all. I'm not injured. if you don't count my pride. Everyone seems to have made it through without incident. Nothing of consequence, at least. And as promised, the tunnel has delivered us onto the medial circuit. As I recall, this tier is where they keep a wide variety of samples for agricultural production. If Irvinal's assumption holds true, that specimens are being collected in preparation for a great migration, then we should see evidence of such plans in the area's research projects. Let's follow the path to the nearest farming facility and see what we see. My memories of this place are a touch hazy, but if we keep the path heading north, then we should eventually arrive at a farm of some kind. Aha! Now I know where we are. This is Mariel Ergonomics. Labyrinthios is host to a wide variety of vegetation, which allows us to conduct studies on cultivation methods utilized in foreign lands. And it is this facility that coordinates and oversees those efforts. The fruits of the research go to feed the Labyrinthios colleagues, or so I hear. More notable successes might make it to Argora. Alone how they might taste. Indeed, mystery vegetables without a name. Only a list of nutritional benefits scribbled on a card. I see no gleaners hereabouts. Yet these workers seem to share that same sense of urgency. It's possible they know something of the forum's plans and their underlying motivations. Worth looking into, wouldn't you say? See what you can find out from the workers. The rest of us will do the same. Or cast about for useful clues. The gourds we grow here are something of an agricultural wonder. We've crossbred varieties from all across the realm to create pumpkins that are sweet, sizable, and rich in nutrients. A field full of ripe vegetables being left to rot on the vine. Not a single picker. Hard at work. Clearly procuring readily available fresh food is not the farm's priority. I'm told this cart holds the harvest meant for the larders here. Nothing out of the ordinary. No two corners of the world cultivate the land in the same way. My research involved poring over the many texts gathered by the gleaners to produce something altogether greater than the sum of its parts. Oh, it's not often you meet someone here who obviously doesn't belong. Can I help you with something? For now, at least, I'm the second most important person in this facility. Now, you may think I'm shirking my duties, but even at this very moment, I am envisioning how we can improve our methods. Gazing upon this watermill calms my heart and clears my mind of unnecessary thoughts, leaving room for only brilliant ideas. Even so, inspiration takes time, and today it seems to be slower in coming than usual. Mariel Ergonomics is where the finest agricultural minds gather to research plant specimens from around the realm and the methods by which they cultivate them. The plants grown here are also used to feed the people working in Labyrinthios, straight from our fields to their tables, fresh as fresh can be. And so you've spent years researching these high-yield cultivation techniques. I am from the studio, here to gain practical knowledge of how to cultivate fungi. Being in the outdoor does have its advantages over the stuffy stacks of books. What crops are we raising? Well, as you can see, this one's a variety of grape. Only needs a good source of sunlight to grow. The conditions here are nothing short of perfect, hardly surprising given that it's native to a particular locale, in the very place upon which Labyrinthios was modelled, a region in the south of Ilsebard. It boasts remarkable habitat diversity, allowing for a myriad of flora and fauna to thrive. Chilly peaks in the north give way to swaths of temperature plains, which in turn transition to hot, humid coastline. Such bountiful territory is never contested, as you might expect. Used to be called Corvos before the Imperials renamed it Locus Aminas. The Forum saw it not surprise, however, as a researcher's ideal environment, one whose climates we strove to recreate within the confines of Labyrinthios. It's since provided a rich foundation for countless experiments in cultivation. Once we pick the fruit, we'll need to take cuttings, rather a lot of them in fact. I wonder if they're planning to grow a new vineyard somewhere. For many years, I have poured my energies into developing more bountiful crops. My life's goal is to produce a seed from which potato and tomato will grow. A man can dream. Of course, the light of the artificial sun is not so brilliant as the real one. However, it allows us to grow crops without having to worry about inclement weather or changing seasons, making the results of experimentation much more consistent. Do I ought to be taken down below more than I can carry and then some? Most of our stock is sent off via cargo lift, but some has been earmarked for aerial transport, hence the stagger crate atop that hill over there. God's hauling that lot up was a job and a half. Right, back to it then, once I'm done here. I think I'll take some fresh fruit to the last stand and have them whip me up a dessert. Hey, cutie. Hello there. We weren't expecting visitors, not with the lift being restricted. How did you make it down here anyway? The mineshaft, you say? Well, you're much hardier soul than I. Under normal circumstances, I'd reward such tenacity with a guided tour of the field. I'm afraid the forum has us filling order lists a mile long. Massive yet detailed requests, literal wagging loads of crop samples, and hardly any time to put them together. When I first heard of this grand reorganization, I assumed we would be shuffling around old stock to make room for new. Then came the orders for ridiculous quantities of seeds we've already thoroughly researched. Passing strange, eh? I pressed for an explanation and was met with a vague assurances that all would be revealed in due course. Not the most satisfying answer. Visit us again when the lift is in normal operation. I shouldn't hope we'll have all new crops to show you by then, but we probably won't. The labels on these crates tell a story of their contents, bundles of common seeds and saplings accompanied by sheaths of reports. Ah, pretty!
Hard to look away, isn't it? But they're more than pretty flowers. Heart blooms are attuned to ambient emotion. You don't seem convinced, but believe me, it's true. This ashen grey, for instance, it mirrors the anxiety and urgency of those working nearby as they rush to fulfill sudden orders. Intense feelings like those spur the petals to change colour. Bright glowing hues in the presence of joy, dark subdued shades for frustration or despair. Yet even with the collected wisdom of Charlian at our disposal, we've yet to identify the underlying principle of this empathic effect. And there are other mysteries besides. Although the flower is extraordinarily long-lived, its low reproductive rate has made it difficult to find younger populations growing in the wild. With too few sightings to map its distribution, and no closely related species to track, we've been unable to pinpoint its land of origin. To further complicate matters, every culture, even dimly aware of its existence, has given it a different name and mythos. Our attempts to study it via the historical record have been an exercise in frustration. As an avid botanist myself, I should one day like to unravel the Heartbloom's secrets. But I'm afraid other duties must take precedence. I will leave you to your thoughts.
Sweet guy.
Have you learned aught of interest? A flower that reacts to one's feelings? Strange. I must say, I have never heard of such a thing.
This is all very fascinating. But as it stands, we've failed to gain any significant insight into the Forum's undertaking.
Indeed. While there is certainly enough activity to support Erenville's supposition that a priority has been placed on improving food production, unfortunately for our investigation, these workers were never informed as to how their duties serve the master plan.
If only we could interrogate the Forum members directly. Isn't that the entrance to the arcade? Look, there. I think that's Erenville.
A little difficult to tell from here, but I think you're right. He did say he was coming down to make his report.
Erenville receives his orders from the Forum. Would it not follow, then, that the superior to whom he reports is a Forum member, or at least a close associate?
You mean to eavesdrop on their conversation? What of the risks?
Ours alone to bear. We won't interfere with Erenville's work, nor will he be implicated as an accomplice. If you're not comfortable taking part, I can do this alone.
Nay. I said myself that I wished to know Father's intentions. And no answers will be forthcoming should we simply ask nicely.
We can apologize later, should it come to it. Right now, we need every crumb of information we can get our hands on. Consequences be damned.
It might be best if you came along as well. In fact, we should all... Cryo?
Oh, yes. That certainly sounds like a plan.
I'm glad you agree.
I hope Kyle's gonna be okay.
Quickly! Erenville is on the move. We need to get closer before we lose him.
Almost. I can almost reach you.
It is wrong to spy on Arabelle, helpful as it's been, but what other choice do we have? Let's get after him already, as it is. Forgive me, my attention has been elsewhere. We were following Arendelle, weren't we? They look a bit dark in this picture. Is Kyle still feeling unwell? I've never seen her so distracted. Keep an eye on her, but keep moving too. We cannot let our quarry slip away. You see which way Amber went? Alzea has not looked to Erenville at her sight. Erenville was headed westwards along the path outside the Archeon. Come, we can still catch him. We've fallen too far behind, and this damn mist won't help matters. I can still hear it. Seems your Stola wished to have a word with us. Hold a moment, I have an idea. If memory serves, that colossal wall-like structure is Logisticum Beta, one of Labyrinthos' climate control centers. It should have its own lifts, with which we could access the upper or lower tiers. Aye, if I were an agent of the Forum, it would make for a convenient meeting place. But even if we happen to find Erenville in the company of said agent, we cannot expect them to reveal issues of importance as we nonchalantly stroll past. Nay, we shall have to remain undetected. If only Graha and his vanish spell were here. Oh, but there are other ways of turning invisible. Hippity hop, my little toads. Goodness! Unaccustomed to transfiguration? Worry not, it will wear off with the passage of time. I suggest you and your green companions hop along and catch up with Erenville. Should you feel the magic's fading, return to me and I will refresh the enchantment. What am I to do in the meantime? Wait here with me. In your current state of mind, you'd be likely to leap into the jaws of a predator as you would learn anything of note. Which reminds me, were the creatures hereabouts? In that form you are essentially defenseless. You've been changed into a toad. You must remain transfigured in order to progress with quest objectives. You will return from your transfigured state if you move too far away. Look to your map for the transfiguration area effect. Speak with your Stola to restore or prolong the transfiguration. Oh, fun! I would have enjoyed being a toad for a little while, if only for the change of pace. But your Stola's right, I am too preoccupied with other matters. Oh my god, I have my dragon on my shoulder! Oh. Ribbit, ribbit. Stand still and I shall recast the spell. The transformation should last long enough to allow you to spy upon Erenvale. Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. Alfie Toad and Ali Toad are now accompany you. Keep them at your side in order to proceed with quest objectives. I'm a frog with a dragon on my back! That is amazing! Oh, epic, epic. Alfie attempts and fails to shake his head, but you nevertheless understand what he's trying to tell you, that this is the wrong way. Alito turns to face the north. Perhaps she's suggesting you cross the bridge.
I trust you will find your compensation to be more than satisfactory. We wish to make clear that we are pleased with the efficiency and thoroughness of your work. So much so that we have come bearing new tasks in need of your competent hand.
Another lengthy list. If I may speak frankly, the Gleaners have been pushed to the point of collapse by your unending demands. We are not familiars to be exploited. We are Charlayan scholars, and we deserve an explanation for this unseemly treatment. What warrants such urgency?
In an age long past, Charlian was charged with a momentous duty. And now that word of the final days hangs heavy in the air, the time has come for us to fulfill that charge. I can say no more, but I promise you this. All will be revealed in due course. And when it has, you will understand that your toil was in service to the greatest good.
Then I will do your bidding. For now. But unless you wish the Gleaners to rise up in protest, I advise you to offer tangible improvements for our working conditions. Your promised revelation does nothing to address present circumstances.
A fair point. Your concerns will be conveyed to the Forum.
I hope that was informative. You may consider my debt to you repaid in full. While I do have my reservations about the Forum, I want to believe that they have our best interests at heart. Which is why I'm reassured that you're busy sniffing out the truth of things. We can ill afford to place all our eggs in one basket, this master plan of theirs, without first understanding the risks involved.
Wait! How did you know it was us?
If you mean to impersonate a toad, try studying the real thing. And don't try to fool an expert.
Our toad performance needs works, apparently. I'll have to pay more attention next time I see one. I suppose we should have known the Gleaner who specialised in animal procurement would not so be easily deceived, yet he seems inclined to put his trust in us all the same. More importantly, perhaps, we've discovered a new piece of this puzzle, this momentous duty the Forum mentioned. Charlian has been called to action. Defalore's declaration was the catalyst. Whatever charge it is they hope to fulfill, they deem it of sufficient import to disrupt all of Labyrinthus, not to mention ignore Eosia's request for aid. If we happen to cross paths with Erenville again, I should like to thank him properly. Alethea is staring off in the direction Erenville departed, a thoughtful look on her face. What duty could warrant direct involvement of the Forum and commitment of all of its resources? Judging by what we just heard, none of the Gleaners were offered any kind of explanation. At this point, it seems abundantly clear that we'll learn nothing new by pressing them further. We should head back to Ysjola and Kral for the moment, see what they think of this. I was a frog with a dragon on my back. Oh. There's Alpha nodding all the way. Ah, there's your store. Who is Cryo? Where's Cryo? It's funny how normal the forest seems now. As a toad, it was also much more ominous and threatening. Welcome back. I trust you found Erenville then? Interesting. I had a feeling you would learn something important, even if that something was simply a confirmation that no one knows much of anything. We should share this with Kryle and discuss how we'd like to proceed. Assuming we find her back at the farm. She was still behaving oddly, so I bade her return and rest there. Perhaps not the best decision in hindsight. Would you mind checking near those flowers she was so entranced by? The rest of us can survey the more distant areas, just in case you decide to wander. What? Should be round about here. There you are, Cryo.
For you. The spell will keep it from wilting.
Oh, thank you.
She said you would need it for the journey ahead.
Are you talking about Heidelin?
Will you speak with her now? I cannot hope to match Minfilia's clarity, of course, but...
Thank you. Do not worry. She has lent me her body for only a moment. Just as I could not save the first from the flood of light, it has become arduous for me to interact with the physical world without assistance. Though I might converse with you for a time, the incorporeal form I assumed on the ship would be incapable of casting even the simplest enchantment. It is in the depths of the ethereal sea, the place to which all life returns, where my influence is greatest. After Minfilia's sacrifice on the first, it was to the sea, here in the source, where I ferried her soul. I wished that gentle spirit to find rest in the world she loved so well. Her, and another who may yet have a part to play, though that will depend on you. Take the flower, walk free, for you are free. To go where you wish, to believe what you will. That blue will be your guide, test and proof of your conviction. In darkness, seek joy. Surrender not to sadness, and see beyond despair. Walk free, and bear the light for others to follow. Together, raise it aloft and let it shine, till the end, blinding and radiant.
That was all too brief. Already she seems so far away. My apologies if I startled you. Ever since we began our descent into Labyrinthos, I had sensed another's will, straining to reach out. Even with my particular talents, though, I was unable to make a connection at first. So weak and tenuous it was.
That's why you've been having problems. Like you've been straining yourself to do this.
Once I took hold of that wispy thread. Imagine my surprise to discover it was Heidelin herself. Needless to say, it seemed wise to learn what we could before letting go. Her answers were more cryptic than I would have liked, but at least she left us with a guide of sorts, that unusual flower. Yes, we are definitely making progress.
You can't be serious! We've done nothing wrong!
Master Fortuno? What business has the Forum with us?
Obstruction and suppression, apparently.
Mistress Baldessian, our records show you facilitated the Scions' entrance into Sharlayan by claiming them as assistants for your organization.
I am an assistant to her. I helped her with the Eureka thing.
We are aware of your... After alerting the major institutions to the presence of potential troublemakers, we received word from an Archean custodian. A group operating under the auspices of the students, skulking about Labyrinthos and engaging in clandestine behavior.
Clandestine? We may not have entered Sharlayan as Scions, but we did naught to conceal our identities. Our only purpose in this city is to seek the truth. I can think of no reason why our actions should warrant the Forum's intervention.
'Tis not our way to discourage the pursuit of knowledge, but the timing of such pursuits must be considered, not to mention their potential impact. With the world in chaos, we, the true caretakers of wisdom, have committed ourselves to an undertaking that demands the utmost discretion. And we will not risk its success by turning a blind eye to disruptive foreign elements in our midst.
What, then, is to be our fate? Will you put us on a ship back to Eorzea?
The Forum will convene to examine your case. The results of said inquiry will determine your future in this city. As for your absent companion, he has already been detained.
Gra! But why? Is reading a crime now, too?
Reading is encouraged, celebrated even. Not, however, of the volumes shelved in the restricted section of the library.
Refusing to comply will only make matters worse. Let us instead treat this as an opportunity to open a dialogue with the Forum.
Silence is often one's best defense. I would advise against prolonging the proceedings with frivolous discourse. But enough. This is not the place for debate. The rostra await.
But side quests. Ooh, pretty. Oh, Cryo has a hood down.
Forgive me. I was careless.
We would have been detained regardless. This way, at least, we managed to stay together. I trust your time within the Forbidden Archives was well spent.
The Forum will come to order. This inquiry is now in session. As Speaker-elect, I will be presiding over the day's proceedings. Master Fortuner, would you be so kind as to restate the matter which compelled you to summon your colleagues with such urgency?
As you are all aware, we recently denied Eorzea's request for Sharlayan assistance. Since then, certain individuals dissatisfied with our decision have taken it upon themselves to interfere with our work. They entered our nation masquerading as associates of the students of Baldessian. But these malcontents are better known as the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. These militants wield influence with both the Eorzean and Eastern alliances, and are inextricably involved with the crises presently afflicting the world at large. Loose in our city, these warmongers sought to meddle with and expose matters of state secret. What are they, if not a dire threat to be expelled?
You have tarnished the good name of the students. Galuf would be ashamed.
Galuf Baldessian was never one to forsake his fellow man. Even if this nation closed every door and retreated from the world, he would have found a way to help the Scions, help every soul of this star fight back against the coming doom.
A terrible enemy stands poised to lay waste to all we hold dear. In the face of such madness, Eorzea reached out to Sharlayan, a respected ally, in the hopes of forming a united front. Was your curt dismissal truly the best you could offer? Or are you so preoccupied with your momentous duty of an age long past that even the end of the world is unworthy of your attention?
Whence came this revelation?
From the mouth of a Forum member within fortuitous earshot.
Then it seems your findings support my own. The reason I visited the restricted shelves was to study records of the Forum's policymaking process, to better understand the historical trends underlying their most major decisions. At first glance, the positions of neutrality in war and the accumulation of knowledge above all else appear constant and consistent, the unchanging pillars of Sharlayan society. And once upon a time, I might have left it at that. These days, however, I am more attuned to the subtleties of governance, and so I noticed something odd. From a particular point in time, the purpose of these policies shifted. No longer was knowledge preserved for the benefit of society. Rather, society was to be gradually reshaped to ensure the preservation of knowledge. The most conspicuous and telling change was the one which befell Labyrinthos. Once little more than an oversized storehouse, an enormous allocation of funds saw it transformed into an advanced research and archival facility. I also discovered a fascinating account on the finances of our Dravanian colony. The settlement attracted students from far and wide, and the connections and tuition fees thus acquired were funneled into further improvements for the archives. Now, there is no question that our nation's progress is tied to the acquisition of wisdom. Nevertheless, the vast resources diverted for this purpose borders on the obscene. But returning to the matter of when, our change in course appears to have been made some 270 years ago.
The very same period when Sharlayan scholars in the hinterlands began a formal study of the ethereal sea. You found something, did you not? And whatever it was, gave rise to your oh-so-important duty.
Mind your tongue, Archon. If you had seen...
Yes. We are bound by a duty we cannot ignore. Knowing this, what would you have us do? Abandon our vital work and join you on the field of battle? We will never choose the way of the sword. We will fulfill our mission, not through strife and bloodshed, but survival. Come what may, we shall live on. We must.
Do as you must, then. But we Scions will fight until the heavens fall, until our last breath.
Such misguided zeal.
Father, Master Fortuno. I fail to understand the stance you have elected to take. But by the same token, I have yet to find a compelling argument to counter the challenge you put to us in Gridania. Still, in the midst of my uncertainty, I must trust in myself to do what is right, as others have chosen to trust in me. So I will continue, as I always have, weighing the consequences of my every action, and allowing my hope for the future to inform my decisions.
That's quite enough. Have you all forgotten the reason for this assembly?
Skolok Monteshane. He's the head of the Studium and an old friend of my grandfather's.
Honestly, every discussion devolves into some interminable debate. Terrible habit. Let's return to the topic at hand, By their own admission, these scions have resolved to fight alongside the Eorzean nations against the doom which swift approaches. But there exists no evidence of an attempt to incite our citizens to do the same. Furthermore, while our decision may well have been the correct one, we cannot simply bull our way through these disagreements without inviting doubts or objections. Put yourselves in their place. Who among you would leave a tome unopened if an elder forbid you read it with no reason given? No. If we're to quell further discontent, then we must conclude this matter with a fair and even hand.
Order! We will have order! Master Monteshane raises some valid points. Keeping such concerns in mind, I propose we enforce the following measures. Until further notice, the students of Baldesion are to cease any and all activities within the domain of Sharlayan. You will also refrain from any further investigation into the Forum's decisions and duties. Failure to comply with these restrictions will result in the immediate expulsion of your Scion associates. Let us put this judgment to a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. I count 51 for and 48 against. The proposal is passed. Students, scions, you have heard the Forum's judgment. Pray abide by it, or face the consequences. Honored members, I thank you for your time. This inquiry is concluded.
Thank the gods for Scholar Montague. I absolutely loathe arguing in circles. My father may be right, that I am still groping in the dark for answers, but I needed him to know that I would never stop searching. I owed that much to Arbanad and myself. You may encounter some raised eyebrows, but do continue to claim the students as your sponsor. whensoever the need arises. I believe that in the guiding principles of the Scions, and I know my grandfather would have been as well. I apologize for the trouble I caused you. I was pondering the significance of what I had just read as I left the restricted section, and knocked over the security man on the way out. I promise to be more vigilant next time. Well, at least we've been allowed to remain in the city, and our endless investigations have not been in vain. We now know that this mysterious duty of theirs began with whatever the Forums discovered in the ethereal sea. With our freedom so sorely curtailed, however, we will struggle to learn aught more of substance here in Charlayan. We shall have to think very carefully about how we are to proceed from here. It clearly has a look of dissatisfaction. The overall picture has grown clearer, yes, but that's in spite of the Forum being so maddeningly vague about this duty of theirs. Why are they so reluctant to explain their actions in plain words? Survival come what may, is Father's work so vital that it takes precedence over his own family? Alphanod, Alazi, it is you. When I heard you'd been dragged before the Forum, I came as swiftly as I could. I am so very glad they allowed you to stay. Mother... Ameliance Livioli, at your service. And you fine people must be the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. How lovely it is to finally meet you. Mother, please, I don't wish to make things difficult for you. If word reaches Father that you were here... Oh, bother that. Am I to be chastised for speaking with my own children? I am well aware that you and Master Fortunate are not on the best of terms at the moment, but I've been absolutely desperate to see my darlings again. You will come by the house, won't you? I have gifts waiting. The timing couldn't be better. As matters stand, we shan't be going anywhere until we discuss matters with Tancred's group and reconsider our options. Go visit your home. We will be back at the annex when you're ready to rejoin us. I'm not sure we... Elita, what do you think? Elita? The Elita Draconia? What a splendid day this has turned out to be. Champion of Eorzea, I insist that you join us. Okay. But we must be quick about it. Not for my own benefit, but should my husband return and find you enjoying our hospitality, the servants will be made to suffer the consequences. Elita, if you would be so kind to us to escort my children to the estate. And then she was gone, and with her any opportunity to protest. Indeed, the matter is settled. Enjoy yourselves, you three. I'm sure Alvinod thinks nothing of it. He invited classmates over all the time, but I wasn't the most... It was a different time for me, alright? I apologise, my mother is not one to take no for an answer. Still, I am glad, relieved even, to see her in such high spirits. What say you, Elita? Though it seems we shall have little time to enjoy it, will you accompany us on our visit home? Let us give Alize a little push and then be on our way. Fine, if we're going, then let's get it over with. But be sure to stay in the entrance hall. No peeking into our private chambers, thank you very much. Why ever not? Your room was always perfectly neat and tidy. Everyone has things they'd rather keep to themselves, don't they? Cherished mementos you couldn't bring yourself to throw away? Childhood toys? I mean, never mind. Livio estate is that way, straight down the stairs. Come on. Livio estate is the northern part of Journey's End, just down the stairs from the rostrum. Oh, and please don't make a fuss when we get there, it's only a house. After all we've been through together, it's strange to be here with you now, to come full circle and see how much has changed. When Alize and I were little, this bridge was as far as we were permitted to wander alone. I say alone, but my mother or servant was always somewhere nearby, keeping a watchful eye. And now look at us, travelling to different continents, different worlds even. As children, Alphinaud and I would often wait here for our father to come home from work. It must have been a day when his meetings ran long, because I remember growing restless and leaning out over the railing to watch the water rush by. Father, of course, arrived at that exact moment, came pounding down the path in a panic, crying out my name. And here you are at last. Please, do come in.
Welcome home, my lady.
What? What are you gawping at?
Just admiring the craftsmanship.
Oh, I suppose I never gave the decor much thought. I'm glad that you approve, I think.
Lord Fourcheneau is not to hear of this visit. And I should also like the children to have their gifts, ere my husband makes his return.
As you wish, my lady.
Alphino, Mistress Alice, if you'd accompany me upstairs.
We shan't be long.
The twins have been sending letters home from time to time, recounting their latest adventures. I am sure they withhold certain details, of course, if only to keep me from worrying. Yet a mother worries all the same. In the early days especially, I tried to support them as best I could, sending the Scion's coin and other such donations. Fortunately, they have found the strength to overcome adversity time and time again. Their words grow more confident with every letter, their depictions more vivid. The triumphs and defeats, the joys and sorrows. It is clear that they have come to find value in every experience. But of those they treasure most, it would seem that meeting you might be the most impactful. Why, since that fateful day, I do believe there has not been a single missive in which you were not mentioned by name. It is plain they care for you, and I am glad they have such a steadfast companion watching over them.
They're good friends of mine.
Under normal circumstances, I would offer you tea, but alas, these are anything but. In any event, why don't you keep me company whilst we await my children's return? Perhaps you might regale me with a tale or two of your exploits.
I wouldn't mind a cup of tea, you know.
When you mentioned gifts, I wasn't sure what to expect. Mother,
Oh, look how well it fits you. And the style is to your liking?
It's perfect. Exactly what I would have chosen. But please, tell me you had something different made for Alphino.
Naturally. You are hardly little children anymore.
Just imagine the Alphanol wearing that as well.
And while I shall miss dressing you in those precious matching outfits, I must respect the individuals you have grown to become. See for yourself.
Stylish, comfortable, and eminently practical.
I am so glad you like them. They are, however, missing one final touch.
If you'd allow me, Master Alphino.
Oh. Sage gear.
Wait. Are these...
A sage's tools of the trade. They belonged to your father. Though he may as well be chained to his desk these days, as a student he was often called upon to venture into the field. He wielded those armaments, both to heal and to harm in no few battles. None so fierce as those you two have braved, perhaps, but battles nonetheless. Thus did I pull them out of storage, to show you that he was not always the man who stands in vehement opposition to you now. And also because it would be a terrible waste of ridiculously expensive House Leveilleur commissioned artistry. I am told these devices are quite difficult to master, but someone of your extensive experience should soon have them darting about with grace and aplomb.
If you have some difficulty, I can help you out a little.
May the wisdom in that crystal serve you well. And please, try to find common ground with your father, that you might come and go without need for this awful subterfuge.
We will, Mother. I promise.
My final gifts to you, before you run off, are an observation and a suggestion. Firstly, fortune of that change in him holds some significance. Secondly, do not seek to best your father with words. Far better that you simply show him. Let him discover the merit of your actions, after they cannot be undone.
Oh, Mother.
We shall take your wisdom to heart. Thank you again for these gifts. And farewell for now.
Safe travels, my children. Eat well, stay warm, and keep your friends close.
Aww. Ah, I can go back in. Seeing how the young Lord and Lady of the House of Cronin nearly moves me to tears.